44. Perfect. Oh, no. Okay. Here. All right, I will call to order this regular monthly meeting of the Village of Shippensburg Board of Trustees. Trustee Haynes will join us momentarily. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay. Item number 3 is our consent agenda. We have abstracts as well as meeting minutes from September 10th and our September 23rd meeting. Abstracts total $366,947.26 in the general fund. Long general fund.
Very long.
This month. Water fund abstract totaling $30,588.59. Sewer fund abstract totaling $22,240.66. EMS billing abstract totaling $32,231.19. And our trust and agency abstract totaling $31,745 even. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So moved. We have a second.
Second.
Any need to pull anything from the consent agenda? Not, then all in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4 is our first public comment period. We have no members of the public in person or online. So item number 5 is reports from representatives, and we have no members. Our representatives from the county and the town are not with us at present. If they join us, we will come back to them. Which takes us very quickly to item number 6, meeting schedule. So first meeting of November is normally the 11th, but that is Veterans Day. So we need to set either Tuesday or Wednesday, the 12th or 13th. That's available. Folks, or we come up with a different date.
I have no preference.
I could do either, but I would prefer Tuesday.
I am actually out of town Monday through Thursday, so I likely won't be attending any which way.
Okay. Actually, maybe we'll wait for Johanna to join us. See what her availability looks like. I know Tuesdays are not great for her, so let's press pause on that one. The other meeting schedule question I have is whether this board has a preference. I kind of like keeping the second meeting of the month scheduled and then cancel when we don't need it. I think that's easier than not having it scheduled and then trying to come up with a date.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Then the second part of that is, what do we feel about it meeting this month on the 28th? Given that we're kind of mid-month tonight. Do we want to wait and see a week if there's anything that we need, or should we just cancel that? And then.
Do you have the SLA question meeting with MRB? Or
Yeah, something stuff.
it's the brand with DOT would do that process.
DOT stuff.
I see.
Also that will. Presentation.
I don't have anything that I anticipate needing action in the short term. Certainly not before November.
All right, yeah, why don't we wait till after our MRB call Friday? That's a good point. Thanks, Jess. My preference would be to not have a meeting if we don't need it. But we'll see what comes out of that MRB call. Okay.
If you don't want to think about the city village.
Definitely not. If you have anything that you know, Jess, if you have anything that you think we should discuss, just start a list. Okay, we'll come back to the November meeting date when Joanna joins us. And that's it for me. Marcia, anything for fire?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to update you on the truck 1802 that we were going to trade in on the new fire engine that we're getting delivered. I don't know if you all saw my email that the axle was cracked on that vehicle. So they had a discussion during the fire meeting. They got a quote of $30,000 to fix the axle, which they felt was kind of too much to put into a vehicle that we're not going to use, and it would affect the trade-in. But they went to Caskey's this week and they can fix it, and they got a verbal quote of $10,000.
Right.
So the feeling is if they can get a hard quote on that for 10,000, it would be worth putting it into the truck and fixing that axle. Number one, it comes with warranty. And number two, we could get $50,000 to $60,000 for the truck as a trade-in versus scrapping it for robot parts or something. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much worthless if the axles are fixed.
Right.
So we're waiting on that to see if they can give us a hard quote, and I think it would be worth putting the $10,000 into the truck and having it fixed so that we can get a fair trade and get that money for the new truck. In the Dropbox, there is a quote. We have applied probably 3 times or more for a radio grant, and have never gotten it. And we didn't get it this year. So you will see a quote for a Motorola quote to replace our radios for the amount of $30,580.44. There is also through the Tompkins County Emergency. There's another one for $3,860. In addition to that, for the batteries. So I would like to move, we have a little over $74,000 in that reserve account. So I would like to move that we give them permission. The total is $34,440.41. So I would like to move that we would approve up to $35,000 for the replacement of the radios.
From the
Equipment isn't it the equipment reserve that's 74,000?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that would be subject to permissive referendum.
yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to spend up to $35,000 on replacement radios for the fire department from the fire equipment reserve, subject to permissive referendum. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good.
Okay, okay. And then we have two more invoices that just came in for Cuba Lumber. I talked to Matt about that today. It's for, bank chargers for the batteries. It is for a total of $7,226.38. I questioned him as to the board probably wanting another quote, but he said the benefit is this is all compatible with the equipment that we have now.
These are batteries for what?
For the high output. I don't know. I don't understand this. They got a reciprocal saw quick thing that they had to replace. They had a tool combo set that they had to replace. And the rest is batteries. It's a 6-bank Milwaukee battery charger. And lithium batteries, 18 lithium batteries, and no, 27 lithium batteries. That need replacing for the radios, because I think the radios, it says, does not come with chargers. Pagers.
So I'm sorry, I wasn't quite sure, to let you know, that another fire radio call reserve,
Okay,
that's got 73,000.
right, right, that's where the radios would go out of. Let me text Matt and see if he can make it clear on, I thought it was for the battery packs, but he said he's gonna be available, so. He said because Cuba Lumber is the authorized Milwaukee dealer, and they do all the warranty work on the batteries and tools for the fire department. These are replacement equipment, batteries that they need for the equipment that they already.
So what line is it coming out of?
It is coming out of the small equipment line.
So a regular budget line.
Yes. And that is for a total of $7,226.38. So I would like to move that we'd give approval for them to spend up to $7,230 on the Cuba Lumber invoices for the ion lithium batteries
From the small equipment line.
from the small equipment line.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions?
And I will have an update on the truck. They did say that they could move some of the equipment.
Let's approve your purchase.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If there are no comments or questions on the purchase of battery packs, etc., then all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay.
Should we amend the first motion so that it's the radio reserve? Does that?
That would be best.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to amend the permissive referendum previously passed a few minutes ago to change the reserve account that it's coming from.
To be the radio communication group agent.
Yes.
Make that motion. You're making the motion. Do we have a second?
Sure.
Any comments or questions on it? Hearing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any extensions? Okay,
So they just wanted to say that they were able to move some of the equipment off that older truck and put it on other vehicles and and work around it. So that is my only big business for the fire department, spending the money.
okay. EMS, Youth and Street Tree Advisory.
Start with youth. Jess and I had a good sit down with Lixie, the town bookkeeper, and Caleb, the town supervisor, to go through a process that we call reconciliation. So Generally, the way that works is this board will approve a budget contribution to the town's. Let me back up further. The town acts as fiduciary agent for all of the youth programming that we run jointly. We generally approve through our budget a contribution to that programming that goes to the town. At the end of each budget year, we have a reconciliation meeting where we basically say, did we spend over, did we spend under? And then we give the town more money, or they either give us money or contribute that money to a reserve that they use in case we go over in future years. We 4 years ago, I think, when we transferred the administration of summer recreation from the village to the town, we also rewrote our MOU, and since then have not had this reconciliation meeting. Basically, it's one of those things that's been backburnered through COVID, and the town taking on this whole new program in the midst of COVID. But Jess and I had that meeting this year for the first time in a number of years. It went very smoothly. It was another, at least to me, vote of confidence in the original decision to transfer those programs into town administration. It felt good. I don't know, Jess, if you had any particular thoughts or comments about it, but to my mind, at least, it was very nice. Like it felt smooth.
It's great, and the concepts are solid, and the structure is sound.
Yeah, and I think it has been, I think, a very difficult period for the town. I mentioned in our last meeting that the last budget year, or in this coming budget year, in our upcoming budget year, and the budget that the town is now writing, we expect that the costs may go up significantly based on cost to the school. The town also, of course, took on this program right in the midst of COVID. So it's been a very challenging thing, and they have done exceptionally well. I think also, under the guidance and advisement of the Youth Commission, which is jointly run between the town, village, and school. But it really, when I first started, doing these meetings a decade or so ago, they were very contentious, very difficult meetings. So this is another example, I think, of town, village, coming together in a way that is, to me at least, exemplifies shared services. So I wanted to report on that. We will hopefully every year we'll have the same report. We'll see. Obviously, sometimes all the contentiousness, it ebbs and flows. So we'll see how it goes. Apart from that, not much to report for youth or trees. So we'll move to EMS and start with the call report. Covert 8 calls, Enfield 3, Hector 4, Interlaken 2, City of Ithaca 4, Town of Ithaca 3, Lodi 3, Mecklenburg 8, Ovid 2, Village 35, and then the Town of Ulysses 35. We also have had some rather substantial difficulties mechanically with our ambulance, which is now sitting and waiting for its second round of major repairs. This is always a struggle when we get to the budgeting portion of our lives and we look at the replacement schedules and all of those things. This is sort of the data point is, hey, we're spending 6, 7, 8,000 this year to replace fuel injectors and transmissions, and it's just, the list is growing. So hopefully that will be back. And this is after, was it 2 months ago that it was stuck in wires for a while. So we're in round 3 now of major repairs on this for the year, which is frustrating, but it is the nature of running fairly large trucks, and trying to get as much life as we can out of it. I've also been talking to Joel to some fairly large degree about how we can incentivize call-ins or people taking shifts when someone else calls in, rather. Because of the way the EMS department is run, we don't have a lot of back or extra staffing time or people to come in when there's calls, when someone is sick, when someone uses their personal time, when someone uses vacation time. Those kinds of benefit time usage are very, very difficult to use. We obviously are sensitive to the importance of those things for our employees, but administratively and just as a management decision, it's very, very difficult to fill those shifts. So Joel has been working on soliciting feedback from the staff, and him and I have been brainstorming a fair amount about just ways that we can do that. We don't have any solid answers now, but I just wanted to prep you all basically for that idea. Hopefully, over the next couple of months, we'll come up with a more concrete plan that we can present to the board. My hope is that it will involve some sort of incentive for people picking up shifts, maybe some kind of gradient for that incentive. So, you know, we have frequently, I shouldn't say frequently, we have infrequent call-ins, you know, 5 minutes before a shift, if someone's sick, something like that. And we need to cover those shifts. So we may have to do some kind of gradient based on when you're called in. Hopefully not. That's very, very difficult to work. Maybe it could work to just do, you know, a sort of one-off stipend type payment, pick up a shift last minute. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but we're working on that. Like I said, hopefully we'll have that soon. The last piece that I want to talk about, and the most important piece, is that we have a contract which is in the Dropbox for a new billing company. I will let Joel talk about the details of that contract, but the one piece I wanted to emphasize and just reiterate, although I think you're all aware, but a couple of months ago, we reached out to the various towns that we contract with for service, for EMS services, because billing is uniquely a piece of that service that directly touches each of those municipalities and their governments and their administrative offices. So we tend to be well, we certainly don't want to give up decision-making power about the everyday organization or management of that department, but this felt like a good opportunity, I think, to solicit feedback given the sort of the nature of billing. So we met with, I don't want to call it a committee, but sort of a loose group of representatives from each of those municipalities, went through each of the responses to our RFP for billing services, came out with some very good feedback and some questions. Joel did, dug a little deeper, had some, shared those questions with each of the companies, got the answers back to the towns. At the end of, a few months, let's say, of sort of back and forth and more digging, we are, I think, fairly solidified around one option. But with that background said, I'll turn it over to Joel to talk about the contract that we have and the specifics of what that looks
like. Contract's pretty straightforward for a billing contract. There's nothing crazy in it. So he highlights to drive this change. The biggest problem with reporting from medics is archaic. We have a billing period of 30 days after the kind of call to bill for. And we typically get those reports about 45 days after the call. So we don't have an opportunity to make corrections to our charts so that it could be billable. So I did a report or did a big audit. We lost or missed out about $1.2 million. Because of that. So that was the biggest incentive to start looking elsewhere. So this company
over what time frame?
2018. Worked with medics a lot to try to fix that. They said that they would. They never really had that infrastructure and that so priority one, they are a local or semi-local business. They're out of the Baltimore area, Hudson Valley area. So they're a pretty small business. They do have many municipal contracts in the capital district area as well. So us being a municipality is not new to them. And the idea of contracting with multiple municipalities is new to them because in theory we're going to have 3 accounts, not one with the company. And so they're a company that the most exciting to me is one is the same price as Max. It's not any additional cost. I think it's actually $1 or $2 cheaper per claim. And they have live reporting. I would be able to log on to our billing portal and see the status of the claims from our calls yesterday. So we need kind of in live time, to make sure that our claims are being submitted correctly, that if they're not billable, we can have an opportunity to fix it so they can be billed. Those are really critical things to be done. The only really important thing in the contract is that there is an NDA, it's about their rates, so we cannot discuss their rates that they're charging us. Other than that, it's as you expect, straightforward. The second one, the business associate agreement, that's in the party, that's all about privacy and compliance. So that was practice.
So one thing that I didn't mention is that we received 3 responses to the RFP. One of them was from MedX. I think all 3 of them honestly were fairly strong. Ultimately, as Joel pointed out, and as you can see in the contract, I think priority 1 is the direction to go. But I think it's worth emphasizing that $1.2 million figure that Joel's talking about is like, in a perfect world, if we could recoup all of our costs. So we're not expecting that we go from, you know, we capture all of that. That is a perfect world, right? Even in a better world, we're still far from a perfect world. So I would expect, you know, 10-20% of that to be made up just based on the improvements systemically within what we do, and Joel's ability to increase visibility, right? His ability to check into those calls on a live basis as
Yeah,
he's
that's
just describing.
nice.
But I just want to be clear that we're not going to get $1.2
Well,
million.
No, that's
Next
five, that's a 5-year period, so it's
Right.
200,000 a year.
Right.
You know, $1.5 million budget, so I mean, it's still, it's a big improvement, but it's not.
Well, but still though, to
So-
emphasize that we're not capturing that 200,000 in a year.
But even,
Right? I expect
but
we'll get
even-
a portion.
even if we could.
Yeah.
It's still, so we go from 300 change to 500
It is.
change, it's a nice bump.
Mhm.
I don't mean to
But
downplay
it's-
it, just
Yeah.
to set
But it's not-
expectations, I think in a
It's-
reasonable
Yeah,
sense.
it's not paying for our department. Where's the NDA in here?
And are they aware that oil exists?
Also nominal, but superintendent, which my office is the time savings process. It's-
And I think, you know, while we're scrolling through looking for the NDA, I'll also note that I think priority 1 offers another advantage, and that it allows us, in addition to greater visibility, just in general, it specifically allows us greater visibility into billing that's happening in other municipalities. So it's traditionally been very, very difficult for us to get any kind of visibility into, say, what happens in covert, right? So if we need to check on a chart or make sure that we're billing correctly in covert, we have to get the report through covert's main office and then double check. So that 45-day window that Joel's talking about is actually much greater than that, because there's sort of a buffer, you know, for Leslie to go and get that. And it's so that level of complexity as well is really very, very cumbersome.
I think I found it, Joe.
Page 5, right at the top, section B.
Yeah. I don't think that clause holds up under foil, but we could check.
I mean, if they've worked with municipalities, they're aware of the limits.
Right.
So yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't want it to nullify our contract.
They have been very open to making any adjustments that we request. They'll entertain, so just adding section.
So no severability clause.
So totally weird.
Yeah, I'll probably want to add a line to that. Any comments or questions from Ben or Joel about what's being proposed or about EMS billing in general? Fascinating world.
I appreciate the effort.
Oh,
put
yeah,
Into it. I mean,
It's
I
all
think,
Joel's ever.
yeah,
yes.
well, thank you, Joel, for the effort going into this. I think, we're slowly chipping away at modernizing and improving here and there. And if, we get 50, 100,000, 200,000 out of it, that is all better.
Whatever, however it manifests would be a substantial improvement. Uh,
I also like Thames. I kind of, V
that
Thames,
is also Joel.
kind of like V Thames. I don't know. Think about it. Think about it.
In a world of too many acronyms, I'm just gonna not comment. So I would say just quickly before we vote on this, but just to note that I think if Trumansburg EMS department agrees to refrain from discussing the fee schedules, I think that exempts us. I don't see an issue there.
Yeah, it'll be something, it'll have to be worded something to the effect of. Agrees to refrain from disclosure. Other individuals, entities can be removed. Fees agrees to refrain from disclosure of any priority one fee schedules unless it's agreed to or authorized by an official on priority one. Or otherwise required by statute. That's something that's worded out.
So I think I would move that we authorize Rohit to sign this contract. Subject to any edits, would you say requested by Guy?
I would say
by council.
Subject to edits to the non-disclosure agreement clause. Right, would be good enough.
Yeah. So that,
Second,
Motion and a second.
is that for both of these or one or the other?
I think I would say as presented to me.
Say it's just acknowledging that we and priority will abide by the state and federal privacy laws.
So that's in HIPAA. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's something Joel would sign if we signed the primary contract.
okay.
It's a Village of Trumansburg EMS signature, not a Village of Trumansburg signature. So this, my motion, I think, is just for the contract.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Very minimal for, number 8. C. This time coalition agreement priority one for applicant fees, you're within 15, but then it says 30
Mm,
days.
That's a good
Page
catch.
8, section B,
C,
C.
page 5,
Oh, sorry.
which is section 8.
Yeah.
C.
Right.
Make sure that's consistent, it's 30 days after.
30 days, yeah.
30 days.
So it's 30 days.
It is 30 days, yes. That's that as well.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thanks, Joel. It's our first billing company change since we went to billing, so it's significant. If you want to send me an email, so we can work on this language, just remind me. I have a note here, but a reminder will still be helpful. So you can get that preferred language back to them on the NDA piece. Okay, anything else for EMS?
That's it.
All right, DPW water sewers PZR and farmers market.
I have very little cover. Maybe just briefly on the DPW water sewer side, we're gonna have another meeting with MRB on Friday just to cover all the various pieces we have in flight. There's a lot of grants that are out, grants we've received, and we're kind of figuring next steps, so there'll probably be more to update at whenever our next meeting is. The one important piece of work and business for us is that the DPW has a 2019 F-250 truck. They are in possession of the replacement truck for that. And they're looking for us to declare the old one of no further use to the village so they can complete the trade-in for that, which actually turns out they have. After cleaning it up and kind of sprucing it up, they're getting a higher trade-in value than they had initially anticipated, which is nice to see. So I'll move that we declare the 2019 DPW F-250 of no further use to the village.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of declaring the 2019 F-250 of no further use, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
I think that might be it, though I'm inclined to just cover a couple things that the DPW has been just kind of cranking through a bunch of really great work recently, so I think we've all seen the new sidewalk out here. They've hit their goal of number of water main valves to replace or repair this year, which is something new for this year. They've never done that in the past. That has increased the number of water shutoffs and alerts that people have seen this year. But we'll see that trend down over time. And the important point there is over time, as we repair these, when there is a water issue or water main break, they can more quickly tamp that down, repair it more quickly, and have it affect a smaller area of the village because they can shut off just the right valves around it instead of if one's broken, then they've got to go encompass an entire other section. So there's a lot of really great improvements there. They're trying to think of what they've gone around the village and striped all the stop lines. They're really kind of hitting a stride with the summer help that they have now, the fuller staffing on the DPW and just the different makeup of personalities on the crew has been really wonderful to see. So I'm very glad to see how productive and efficient that the group is getting to be at this point. Other than that, that's all I got.
Excellent, excellent. Please, Joanna.
So. For an police report, so there were 201 calls in September with the village. 5 calls were outside of the village. And then. Also, one was disorderly conduct. 3 were traffic complaints and 1 EMS overdose. Of the 201, there weren't any that were significant. They're just very similar to previous. It's mostly property checks. Some traffic tickets, sneaking traffic tickets this month. And 3 parking tickets. Yes. So, okay, a few things, we did participate in the crop walk and he received a very nice thank you from them for participating, so apparently it was, and they were very helpful. Chief Nelson did look at the not for Halloween this year. We did receive an email asking for another street to be closed. I did talk to Chief Nelson about it. The street that was requested was for Pennsylvania, which is a definite no, just because the amount of traffic, like that's one of our main traffic streets. And he's definitely against adding any more streets to what we. He said that, and we discussed this, Halloween's just grown so much over the years, there's different organizations also doing their own thing, which gets people outside more. And I know we said no last time, but maybe a weekend Halloween is worth talking about. Just because of how much it's grown within the village.
I agree.
No, I know, I said no. But it is, it could be something that can be talked about in the future. I mean, there's other organizations that do their own thing, there's like the trunk or treat, then there's houses that do their own thing that people just absolutely look forward to every year. And it just causes a lot of congestion throughout the entire village, so. Maybe we're talking about it. Not anytime.
Someday.
Last time we met, we talked about traffic, putting out, the flashing lights without the flashing. Chief Nelson placed it on Halsey Road, just to see coming inbound. To see what the traffic would be like, and, the program that is used for that particular, whatever the sign, the way that it takes in information, data. And then they do have built-in graphs, which to me don't give a ton of information. They give about half of the story, so I'm helping Chief Nelson. I used to do data analysis, so I'm helping Chief Nelson get some better information from that data. But just from looking at it, the average speed limit every single day of the week is about 25 miles per hour. Just a tiny bit over and under by maybe 0.5 miles per hour. The one significant number that we did find was that of that, the number of speeders over 10 miles per hour was 104 out of 2,124 cars. So that's,
5%.
yeah, about 5%. That go over.
Whoever that sucker is that goes down my road at 11 o'clock at night, I'm gonna get him.
And the surprising thing is that just glancing at the data and not doing the, trying to do some additional graphs, but just looking at the data. Most people are speeding during when people are dropping off at school.
Mm-hmm.
So within the 7:15 to 7:45 timeframe on weekdays.
What was the time period of 2000 and some vehicles?
So that is September 27th to October 3rd.
Wow.
So it was just 1 week, and that was recent.
2,000 cars a week.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I mean, statistics are what they are, but so statistically, 5% is not a big number. But if there's 100 cars in a week,
Yeah.
going more than 10 miles over, then that's gonna get attention. And that's all you're gonna notice. Yeah, you're not gonna notice the other 1,900 change crawling by your house.
Right.
True.
Yeah, wow.
So as that as we collect that data, we'll find a better way of looking at what times are significant to where. You know, once you place a police car in there, of course, people are gonna slow down, which is good. But you may not be handing out as many tickets as you think you might.
Right.
And then, people being part-time, it's kind of difficult to. You know, make sure that people are, or that a police officer is somewhere in more than one spot is. We just can't do that.
Right.
It's a staffing issue. Be interesting to park an empty police car running at the water tower. Before school
With a dummy in it.
on weekdays. And then run,
It's scary.
and then run. the,
Yes, it would be interesting.
Run the speed camera for another week. Just see if
What if
it's
we run
1% instead of 5%.
a police car with Marcia in it? And
That seems like a bad idea. So many levels.
Just a. flat over. That's-
No, it's
have an
interesting.
extra.
It's very interesting.
So yeah, so more to come on that and just to see how. What else we can grab and do that. Um. Also, okay, so with that number of tickets, so we're, Chief Nelson is trying to find a good balance between warning people about their speeding and then actually giving out tickets. We also don't want to make our own village upset, but if they're speeding, they're speeding, like if you're going. You know, over the speed limit, you kind of need to calm it down. So, the police officers have been giving out warnings, but Chief Nelson has instructed them to give out more tickets, if they are speeding a significant amount. So,
40 to 25 is fast.
right. We did talk about speed posting, that was one of the things that we talked about in our last meeting was, some of the. Speed limit signs where they may or may not be. We did look at the signs on some of the roads that we talked about last time. They are posted correctly, so it's basically, as soon as you come onto the road, there's a sign, there's 25 mile per hour sign. We can put more signs on, but then is it too many signs that we're putting on one? Which we could look at maybe putting more signs on some of the longer roads. But it would not do anything. We put them on the short roads. I guess the sign should be placed no less than 1/10 of a mile apart, so if we're looking at that. That is the right regulation. And then talking about continuing the discussion about speed bumps. So there are these things called speed tables that are a lot wider and flatter. And I have seen where they are removable. So if we wanted to do something like that. If we wanted to talk about that more, we could do something like that, where we could remove them during the winter time when. it does snow, it won't stop people from speeding, people speed in the cold, just as much as they can. And the warm, so. But we could look at doing that, which is significantly cheaper than another police officer. And then I will continue to fill out elevated intersections. So we have been. that this does not need to be approved by trustees, but we did get a $600 voucher that is being used to update our policy or to have flexible aligned with our own policy, and that we are paying for through about. So those are my updates, and are we? Did we?
And
Oh, we haven't said it. I would like to.
personnel.
What's dripping?
ask
Oh,
Okay, before we get to the front office, before you got here, Joanna, we were looking at our November first meeting. Would normally be scheduled for Monday, the 11th, but that's Veterans Day. Ben Darfler is out of town that week. Rest of us are available either the 12th or 13th, or either of those nights, either or both.
13 works. Oh.
12th work.
I can make both.
Shall we do 12th at 7? All right, let's do that, and then just you can notice that. Okay. Clerk Treasurer's office.
Okay, so it's October, but we're already looking at November 4th, which is the week of audit. So that's the annual audit by the CPA. I just got the assignment of multiple files that need to be collected in the next 2 weeks to get to the auditors before they come. So I did send out the reconciliation through August of the funds. I expect to be done with September by the end of the week. And a reminder that it comes after the audit budget perhaps. So it's not really to November, December, but the time that where the department heads meet with the commissioners and I give you solid numbers so that we can prep for the board to begin discussing in earnest in February is when the first legislation happened last year. So just reminding us as we look forward. Also looking forward to November 1st with new water bills. There will be approximately 100 records that need to be updated to make sure that all of the water units, sewer units, and units match. I'm going 100% zero errors with this update. Additionally, and I don't know if you have more information than I do, but presumably coming online and depending on how close it comes to November 1st, there'll be those new meters in our, but anyway, there's new meters, the cellular reads going in for 46 South Street. So those approximately 106 cards will be generated and put into the data system. So we're looking at 30 hours of work with 46 South Street. Some stuff coming online for Compass as well. And that's the meeting book. Sorry, I said 46 South. Compass is the 106, and then some meters for 46 South, expecting residents there for November 1st. So that's going on. I'm also investigating, and I don't know if anyone has any appetite right now for me to continue investigating, switching our bill to not be a postcard, but to be an 8.5 by 11 folded piece of paper, the water bill, such that it might read more clearly, offer some better information, and maybe even a line to make an announcement is a piece of paper that goes out to the residents bi-monthly. It's kind of a good communication piece. The mailing, the surface mailing cost is, so it really is my estimation of print costs and stuffing costs. But if you're already like, nope, we hate it, don't change the postcard. Certainly other municipalities do this.
I'd prefer paperless billing.
frankly.
We are definitely encouraging people to switch over to the using the online. And could actually make a push to say, would you like to now say no to the paper bill? We could do that, so that's a good suggestion.
It'll never force people to spell it, but you can.
We can't
No, but
force
someone
them.
signs a thing.
Yeah, you
helps out.
whippersnappers.
A lot of billing.
Yeah, bill by email, bill by email would be nice.
So to be clear, we are doing that for everyone who's signed up already is getting both.
Mhm.
They're getting email if they've signed up for it. They could opt out.
Currently, they can't opt out of paper.
Oh, they could, but no one's asked. We have a push. We didn't make it like a visible option. But we can, we should.
It's hard if we're doing announcements through it though.
Oh, well, then it could be posted on the website. Here's the announcement from the law. It's just an
They're just not
extra,
equivalent things, right? The posting on the website requires going in, looking at it. As
but
opposed
if
to,
they're online, but I guess the idea behind the fact that it is a communication piece is. It's just an extra way to reach people in addition to all of the other ways that we would already be communicating the message for everyone to see. Putting it on the bottom of the water bill. Yeah, it's a fair point, but I think it's. Do you want to see one? I mean,
I don't mind the format. What I'd love to be able to see if we can is to break out the charges by base and rate.
that's what I'm thinking. We'll have much more room to be really clear about what these words are. We can use more characters to say the words all the way out instead of.
Yeah, if we get that, then and the price is in the ballpark, I'd love to see that, because I think we can be a lot more clear.
Yeah,
Let's see what it looks like. I mean, we don't necessarily want to have a really dense billing. We don't want it to look like a credit card statement where there's too much information on it, but
agreed.
more space than 3x5.
I think being able to split out at least the base rate versus the usage
Right.
rate is gonna be helpful, because I would try to walk through a couple different scenarios with a customer, and they're like, what is going? And you're just like, well, I know, because I can look at the internals of your account, but like, there's no way you could back into that without knowing a couple of other pieces of data.
Right.
It would also make the past due date much more clear. People chronically pay the wrong.
Water department website address, yeah, let's
Mhm.
see what it looks
But
like.
I'm thinking like an invoice style,
Yeah.
not a super dense, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's see what that looks
all
like.
right, I'll proceed.
Curious.
Don't hold your breath. It's not needed before counting. It also, it feels like it would be good service. to
It's
the-
also, there's a privacy thing there too. Anybody can read it. Water bill coming through the mail.
it's like they had something that-
Oh, I don't think I lost.
my experience is that no one can read them.
What's that?
My experience is that you can't read them. They are, I can look at the back and I'm still like, what? All
I
right,
think that print quality has improved with the new print.
no, I just mean, it's very like
Oh, there was-
opaque, like what's what and
Oh,
why
yeah.
is it this and what's
Mhm.
happening, and like to Ben's.
To Ben's
it's just
point,
kind of
yeah.
like, I just shrug. I'm here all
Yeah,
the
let's see
time
what
and I
it
know
looks
what's happening and I still just.
And if we do the mailer in, I don't know about cost structure, but in an envelope is one way, and the other way is tri-folded address, like the school tax bill used to be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I'll explore that, say, good suggestion. And so other public service announcements, the pickup begins this week, but the DPW wasn't trained yet. Indigenous Peoples' Day on Monday, so federal holiday, and there was 2 days of training, so it's beginning this week, but that's Thursday, so realistically. Folks who are listening to this, expect it to begin in earnest next week. I'll be making an announcement reminding us that in November, the parking changes street side to deal with foul weather. And Halloween is happening on October 31st. There is a map on the, in the newsletter, and I'll put it on the website, for you to see what street closures are. That is it.
Okay,
Just wanted to say the amount of work that Jessica is doing to go through all of those water cards, and yet again, for the final time, please this time, make sure that they all are all right and perfect I appreciate it deeply, so thank you for that, Jessica.
Yeah, I'm hopeful it'll be the first time I'm actually in charge start to finish, instead of jumping in midstream or having other assistants, so.
Yeah.
that has been, I think, certainly one of the goals of all of this rate structure restructuring is that like, not only do we have good fiscal health for these programs, for these utilities, but also we are spreading that cost in a way that we can explain, we understand, seem as fair as, and is appropriately applied in all the ways we expected it to. So we're slowly getting towards that panacea.
Okay, any items of old business that we need to discuss that didn't make the cut? Any items of new business?
Plus, I mentioned that it is domestic violence.
Hmm.
That the police initiative and that has been tremendous for October. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of great resources about what you can do just by being an individual in your community without taking any great effort, or you can take great effort, so you can check that out. That's my thought. Thank you.
Okay. Second public comment period. I see no members of the public present in person or online. And so I would entertain a motion then to go into executive session to discuss police personnel matter.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Marcia,